Hey, crypto family. So this is the biggest news that's being talked about in crypto right now and in the stock market. It's the Fed increase for interest rates that was announced about an hour ago. And the Fed increased the rate by 0.75% basis points for the month of June. Now, this was talked about as being the expected interest rate hike, and they did deliver on that. But a biggest thing here is this is the biggest interest rate hike since 1994. Okay, so I'm going to talk about exactly what this means for the overall market, overall crypto. Also going to cover some technical analysis for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and kind of my price targets going forward from here. So looking at Blockworks here, they posted an article about this, and basically already talked about it's the biggest rate hike since 1994, which is not good at all. Okay, that already has a lot of people scared. It says overall economic activity appears to have picked up after edging down in the first quarter, Fed officials wrote. Job gains have been robust in recent months and the unemployment rate has remained low, the statement noted, but Russia's invasion of Ukraine and ongoing supply chain issues have contributed to persistent inflation. Now, I don't know how much I believe that, excuse me, because again, things were already getting bad before the Russia-Ukraine situation. So them kind of using this as an excuse, really, I think what it was is all the quantitative easing and the trillions of dollars that were being printed over the past couple of years led to this inflation. It wasn't just Russia-Ukraine. It may have perpetuated it, kind of they maybe accelerated it, but in no way did that cause what's going on right now. It says, quote, inflation remains well above our longer run goal of 2% over 12 months ending in April. Total PCE prices rose 6.3%, excluding the volatile food and energy categories. So again, you have food, everything is being raised. The costs are being raised to account for this inflation. It says the 75 basis point hike today represents both an acceleration of interest rates and potentially higher target Fed fund rate between 2.75 and 3%, which is insane. Now, one of the things here, it says Powell mentioned, so Jerome Powell, the chairman, he said in May, he expected interest rates to rise 50 basis points in June and July before changing the narrative on Monday by signaling a 75 basis point increase. And he says, clearly today's 75 basis point increase is an unusually large one. I do not expect moves of this size to be common. From the perspective of today, either a 50 or 75 basis point increase seems likely at our next meeting. We will, however, make our decision meeting by meeting. Now, again, I don't necessarily believe him here because, like I said, he was telling everyone it's going to be 50 basis points, and then he changed the narrative Monday by signaling 75 basis point increase. So really, this could change on a whim, especially with the whole macro environment. Now, again, I talked about some big bankers basically quoting what their thoughts on the announcement. And one, Peter Bookvar, who's the advisor at Bleakley Advisory Group, he says, so the Fed is embarking on the most aggressive hiking cycle in 40 years, but they estimate barely any impact on the unemployment rate. As for their estimate for GDP, it went from 2.8% last time to 1.7% now, and next year they also expect 1.7% growth. No central banker will ever estimate recession. Keep that in mind. So again, GDP is decreasing, but they expect no increase in unemployment, which that doesn't add up, right? Things are higher. Gas prices are higher. You're telling me people are getting laid off of their jobs. So there's no way unemployment won't increase. They're trying to basically stop everyone from panicking. And then even here, Morgan Stanley, they wrote, even 2 weeks ago, we may have thought of a 0.75% increase was off the table, at least in the short term. But with inflation not letting up, it's become pretty clear that the Fed needs to take a more aggressive approach. As we enter bear territory this week, the market may have already priced in a higher than expected jump. That's not to say the larger hike may spook some investors. Keep in mind, as we go through a changing monetary policy, we'll likely continue to see the volatility as the market digests the new norm. So again, that's what a lot of people are saying here. Really for me, I'm thinking that, again, we may see this 50 basis point hike in July. That would be very bullish, funny as that sounds, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now, with how I'm basically approaching this with crypto, is I'm still 95% in USDC and BUSD stablecoins, okay? And one of the reasons why, I'm gonna show you this weekly chart on Bitcoin, that we have this descending wedge on Bitcoin here. And again, even the nearest support is around that 19,000 level, okay? A lot of people are thinking Bitcoin won't fall below 20,000. Now, it very well could hold 20,000, but I do think it will wick below it because a lot of people have their stops near that 19.8, 19.5, 19.3. So again, I think market makers will try to get all that liquidity from the downside, and then basically once people have gotten liquidated, then it'll kind of rip back to the upside. Now, If we do keep declining, like I do think we will over the next couple of months, I do see the bottom target being around 12,000. And that's because it does coincide with the bottom of this descending wedge, as well as this major weekly support at 12,000. That's basically all the way from August 17th of 2020. Also played a big part August of 2019, July of 2019, and even all the way back here, April of 2018. Okay, so you have a lot of support right now at that 12,000 level. Again, this is something that I am watching very, very closely, but I do think that we can definitely see this level being tested. And just looking at the indicators here, so VMC, the VMC indicator, Cipher B, that still hasn't printed a green dot yet, still declining. And the RCP extractor, RSI is oversold right now. So again, still could be oversold for a couple of months. So just keep that in mind on the weekly chart. But these are levels I'm looking at. If we do go back to the upside, short term, I see we can go up to this wick here at about 25,000. Okay, that was the wick that we actually went down to in May. So I can see this wick coming back up if Bitcoin does bounce. You look on the minute chart, and basically from the Fed announcement at 1330 here, we can see that there was some positive momentum and it has still stabilized, right? So that's something I'm keeping in mind. This purple line is a 200 EMA that I have, but people reacted positively to it. So we'll see. Maybe Bitcoin continues from here, but long term, over the next couple months, I can very well see Bitcoin continuing to decline at a minimum, testing this 18.9 level before bouncing possibly to 25 and then continuing down from there. But we'll have to see. Now, Ethereum, looking at that. So again, this trend line that I drew on the weekly, it did bounce from this trend line. It did wick below it a little bit, but it did bounce and it's sitting at about 1176, which is a good sign. But I'm still expecting us to basically drop this trend line and go down to $800, which is major support, okay? That was the high in May of 2018 before declining fully there. We already broke through the high of January of 2018, that $1,350 to $1,400 level. So now I'm thinking we may test this previous high in May of 2018, that $800 level before bouncing from there. But again, as long as we hold this trend line, it's still possible to maintain it, but we'll have to see what happens with that. I do have the 200 weekly EMA as well, which we did break below that last week. So these are levels I'm watching. Temporary resistance I'm looking at is around that $1,400 level, okay? That previous high support turned resistance now. So if you are thinking of longing Ethereum, again, I always recommend longing towards this trend line here, or just waiting, setting a tight stop loss if low leverage below this trend line, and then, setting your take profit around this $1,400 level if you do think we'll get there. Again, looking at the minute chart. So the minute chart looks similar to Bitcoin, obviously, but 1330, you can see right here, it did short downside and then it reacted positively from there. So Bitcoin and Ethereum back to being closely correlated again, but again, not holding my breath right now for any positive price action. VMC Cipher B is still waiting to print a green dot, and then same thing with RCP extractor, RSI is oversold. So right now, just again, staying on the sidelines, not really rushing, especially with the news from the FOMC meeting and just, again, the whole uncertainty with the macro environment. I just want to caution everyone, just be careful, please. You can start DCAing if, at major support levels, but just keep in mind this can go a lot lower as charted by this TA here on Bitcoin and Ethereum and these major support levels, okay? All these VCs are getting liquidated. I believe 3AC got margin called actually from my last video. Celsius is most likely going to go bankrupt, and of course Luna, the crash that happened with that already. So a lot of companies are going out of business, laying off employees. So just keep in mind when you are buying right now, things can still go a lot lower. But again, DCAing a little may be all right, but I am waiting right now for that. So with that, if y'all enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Please comment if y'all have any questions, and please subscribe if you haven't. Really appreciate all my subscribers. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time.